Good morning, Steers Chapel. Brother Don Pierson here with Don Counts, and this is Friday's devotion. We are at the Harris's beautiful farm, and we'll be recording here over the next few days anyway. And so we're right here in front of their old barn, and so we're continuing our theme of looking at men and women who ignored God's boundaries. We're in 1 Kings chapter 11, verses 1 through 11. But King Solomon loved many foreign women, as well as the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, the Ammonites, the Edomites, the Sidonians, and the Hittites, from the nations of whom the Lord had said to the children of Israel, "You shall not intermarry with them, nor they with you. Surely they will turn away your hearts after their gods." Solomon clung to these in love. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it was so when Solomon was old that his wives turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not loyal to the Lord his God, as was the heart of his father David. Well, there's more there, and if you get a chance, just continue to read on through verse 13, because the basic what happens is God sends a word to Solomon and says, that's it. You've crossed the line. You've crossed the boundary. And because of that, I'm going to take away the kingdom away from you, but I'm going to allow the kingdom to stay in your hand, not for your sake, but for your father's sake, David. I'm going to let it stay in your hand. And you know the story. It is true that when Solomon dies, the kingdom of Israel is divided and becomes two kingdoms, Israel and Judah, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. And the northern kingdom just continues in the path of Solomon, and so does the southern kingdom for a while. Solomon crossed several boundaries. The first boundary was he ignored the warning of God about becoming unequally yoked or intermarrying with people who worship other gods or people who don't worship at all. And he didn't just do that one time. He did that over and over again. 700 and some times he crossed that boundary, totally ignoring. He thought the silence of God was God's long-suffering grace and mercy. You see, God spoke to him after it was over. The other thing is that he assumed that because he was old and king, that he still had all the power. He crossed the boundary of ignoring the fact that God is the ultimate power. He made himself God, and he drew his own boundaries. That's what happens every time you and I cross a boundary. We declare that we're going to be God over our own life, Lord of our own lives, and we choose to move boundaries where we want to. The third way that Solomon crossed the boundary was that he turned to the other gods. He turned and he began to fill the land with other places of worship to strange gods. He crossed the line. Well, when he crossed it, he jumped all the way across. My friend, God places the boundaries for our protection because he loves us. Be careful. Love you, Steers Chapel.